conqueror of Persia, slayer of Thebes, the man who united Greece. Alexander III of Macedon is a legendary figure whose military genius allowed him to conquer more land than any other ancient ruler. But how did he do it, and what ultimately led to his untimely demise at age 32? Stay tuned to find out as we explore the life and death of Alexander the Great. Hey there! I'm super excited to share this story with you. The question isn't why was Alexander the Great so successful, or why is he so famous today, but rather why don't more people know about him? I mean, despite having been dead for over 2,000 years, his accomplishments are still staggering. And if you've ever wondered just how far Alexander's empire stretched, check out this map. That's right, that's how far his empire stretched. Now, obviously, Alexander didn't set out to build an empire that spanned 3 continents. But his ambition to surpass even the great heroes of Greek myth helped propel him further than he and most others ever thought possible. His father, King Philip II of Macedon, had managed to unite the various Greek city-states and force them into a formidable fighting force, defeating the once mighty Spartans at the Battle of Chaeronea in 338 BC. By all accounts, Philip was an excellent military commander, so good that it is believed he single-handedly saved Macedon from certain defeat when they were vastly outnumbered by a coalition of Greeks at the Battle of the Rivers. Nonetheless, Philip's victories paled in comparison to those of his son. Philip was assassinated when Alexander was only 20 years old. Some accounts say that Philip was killed by his own son, but there's no way of knowing for sure. What we do know is that Alexander was proclaimed king after his father's death and immediately went to war with the Persians. And I mean immediately. You might have expected a coronation to take place first, but that would be boring, and Alexander had no time for boring. Instead, he had himself proclaimed king, then immediately set out to avenge his father who had been wounded at the Battle of the Hellespont while attempting to invade Anatolia. In 334 BC, Alexander met the Persian king Darius III in a decisive battle at the Granicus River, where the Macedonian cavalry broke through the Persian lines and captured the Anatolian coast. The young king proved himself to be a capable commander, leading from the front and fighting alongside his men. But he wasn't alone. Alongside him rode his close friend and confidant, the General Ptolemy I, who served as his right-hand man throughout the war. After consolidating their control over Anatolia, Alexander's forces moved on to Syria. There he decisively defeated the armies of the region, securing the loyalty of the Phoenician city-states and adding them to his growing empire. His next stop was Egypt, where he was proclaimed pharaoh and made to wear the traditional Egyptian crown. A bull, symbol of strength, was added to the eagle emblem of Macedon on the coins minted in his image. But not everyone was pleased by these territorial acquisitions. Back in Greece, his sister Cleopatra tried to take advantage of the absence of both Alexander and his brother, Philip, to seize power. But she was betrayed by her own lover, the Theban general Parmenion, who informed Philip upon his return. Not only was Cleopatra executed, but Parmenion also seized Thebes, deposed its government, and sold the citizens into slavery. With the threat of rebellion crushed, Alexander continued east. Alright, back to Alexander. After crossing the Taurus Mountains, Alexander faced yet another powerful enemy, King Porus of the Indian kingdom of Parava. Despite suffering heavy losses, the Macedonian army managed to prevail at the Battle of the Hydaspes River. Though many sources disagree over whether or not elephants actually played a pivotal role, we do know that King Porus survived the battle and was granted amnesty by Alexander, who was impressed by his courage in the face of battle. In fact, Alexander was so impressed that he made Porus a satrap in his newly founded province of Aranthus. Thus, Alexander's campaign in India was a success, and he soon turned his attention back to the west, stopping along the way to found the city of Alexandria on the site of the ancient Egyptian city of Ractus. But he wouldn't stay long, as he eventually fell ill and died on June 10, 323 BC in Babylon. There are conflicting reports over the cause of his death. but the most likely reason appears to be malaria. However, theories persist that he was poisoned by his wife, Roxana, or his own mother, Olympias, each of whom stood to benefit greatly from his death. Others blame the excesses of his lifestyle, like drinking too much. Yeah, I mean, come on, guys. That's what happens when you live the high life. Regardless of how he died, Alexander left behind an empire that was second to none, having conquered more territory than any other ruler in history up until that point. He was succeeded by his half-brother, the aforementioned Philip, though their half-sister, Cleopatra, tried to claim the throne for herself. As regent to their infant nephew, Alexander IV, she took control of Egypt, while Ptolemy seized control of the rest of the empire. It was the end of the Macedonian dynasty, and the empire that Alexander had built quickly fell apart into warring factions. But let's take a moment to appreciate just how Alexander changed the ancient world. First and foremost, Alexander was a military genius, arguably second only to his contemporary, Hannibal Barca. He employed innovative tactics and was known for his bold, aggressive maneuvers, often taking risks that paid off spectacularly. For example, at the Battle of the Granicus River, he led a small force across the river at night to take the enemy by surprise. Similarly, his victory at the Battle of Issus can be attributed to his willingness to take risks, such as allowing his companion cavalry to break through the center of the Persian line to flank the enemy. These tactics not only won him victories, but also helped spread his fame throughout the ancient world. Next, Alexander was an exceptional leader, inspiring his troops with his charisma and bravery. He was known for leading from the front, fighting alongside his men and sharing their hardships. This leadership style earned him the respect and loyalty of his troops, who fought fiercely for him. But remember, he was also ruthless when necessary, crushing rebellions and executing those who opposed him, so he could maintain control over his vast empire. Then there was his obsession with the Persians. Alexander's hatred of the Persians ran deep, fueled by his belief that they were decadent, effeminate, and unmanly. In fact, he famously wept upon discovering that there were no more Persians left to conquer after his victory at the Battle of Gaugamela. His burning desire to wipe the Persians from existence may have been what pushed him to conquer so much land and achieve such great victories. And lastly, Alexander was a cultural iconoclast. He rejected traditional Greek values and beliefs, embracing instead the customs and traditions of the people he conquered. He famously intermarried with Persian princesses and dressed in Persian style. He even converted to local religions, worshipping Osiris in Egypt and Shiva in India. However, for all his talents and accomplishments, Alexander was not perfect. He was known for being hot-headed and impulsive, which often led him to make rash decisions. For example, his decision to invade India may have been motivated more by his desire to prove himself than by any real strategic purpose. Additionally, his arrogance and overconfidence sometimes got the better of him, leading to unnecessary risks. So there you have it, the rise and fall of Alexander the Great, a man whose ambition knew no bounds and whose accomplishments still stand the test of time. What do you think of Alexander? Was he a genius or a madman? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this. Until next time, thanks for watching.